Just put that stuff on top. Introduce myself quickly. My name is Neal Stilley, and of course I'm a member of TAS, and I do the youth program for the field school along with Doug and Trudy. I don't actually do much troweling anymore because I'm doing more educational programs and teaching the kids doing neat stuff and having fun with them doing that. But what I try to do is, and not just for TAS, but for the Texas Historical Commission, I also do archaeology programs as a master naturalist to show them that, you know, there's a lot more culture to plants and things in nature than just the nature and stuff itself. So I wear a lot of different hats, and I like doing this because it's fun and it rejuvenates me just because I do it, and I like teaching and sharing things with people. With that, we'll go into talking about, y'all saw the earth oven, right? It's going to be yucca. This is a nice sotol stalk here that could be used as a fire spindle, and it's just the right size, but I'm going to save that for future classes. Now, when they do the earth ovens at Shumla, what we do is we go out, and it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of energy because most of the trees and stuff that normally we've been available have all been moved away, cut away. 8 Shumla earth ovens, and probably the first person to use the Shumla notch in 5 to 4,000 years for cooking lechigia and sotol. And the reason I say that is because no one else, until I came around, has actually tried to do that. Not that I found any kind of reference anywhere. And I'll talk about and pass around and let y'all take a look at the Shumla notch, but it's totally different. This right here is what your Shumla notch is going to look like, and this is the side notch right here. And I'll pass those around when we get to that point in a minute here. Okay, from the last group. Specialized tools. I don't know. You know, there doesn't seem to be anything associated in the archaeological record that has been written down that says, oh, well, this tool was found, you know, in close proximity to this, or found inside this, that says this was a tool to extract the stuff. And the same thing would be for the sotol. You know, you pull it apart, and then there's the heart of it. But then these people also peeled off these leaves and chewed on the quids, because all over the shelters you see these chewed up mashes, little things about so big that are just masticated lechigia and sotol leaves, kind of like an artichoke heart on there. But no tools being associated with it. But you could use this to do that. We use a knife, which is easy, and you can cut up in small pieces and pass it around to all the kids and watch them spit it out, and some go, oh, I like that, I like it. A lot of adults seem to have a better preference for either one than the kids, but then you get a couple of kids that, oh, that is the greatest stuff I've eaten. So it just varies from one group to another, you know, what they're going to say about the taste of those. Anyway, get your rocks all heated up, spread them out, and then we pretty peeled back real easily, or just crushed in your hand like this. And then what you get are these nice clean fibers to make cordage of some kind, or tump lines, or just whatever kind of utilitarian thing that you need that needs cordage on it. And the same thing with the sotol. Those would break down, and you can just scrape that stuff off real easy. So you're getting 2 for 1, you know, while you're doing that, and that's pretty valuable process there was if you can get two things for one type of work that you're doing on that. Okay, I'll go ahead and pass these around. This one right here is the one that's got the best smell of it, and it smells kind of like a sweet potato. Take a look at these. With the Shumla notch now compared to the side notch, what's happening here is we're using the same pieces of material, but we're applying them in a different position. Now normally when you split it, most people use the side notch, and the side notch just goes down like this, and then you put your hand drill on top, and then you're just going to go back and forth. But with the Shumla notch now, it's much different. You turn it upside down so that the bottom part that would be on the side notch is on the top, and then you form a divot. And a lot of that stuff, like I said, you'd be able to find in the rock shelters if you were to excavate them. Probably the food parts would be gone, but the remainders of them are still there, like the quids and stuff. But I try to save as much as I can, because I try to take the anthropology approach to this so that you can see some of this stuff that would just be in the archaeological record, and see how it went through the process, so that y'all can understand, well, gosh, this is what they did, this is how it turned out, and such. Now you'll be surprised when you get those potatoes and onions. They should be just delicious, and it's just from that oven cooking.
So what's your favorite wood for the fire?
Yucca.
Yucca.
And most people that do friction fire starting, throughout the Southwest and the Pacific Northwest, where there's some yuccas out there, they like yucca too. In fact, if I went to a primitive technology gathering, I would go out and collect a bunch of yucca, and I could trade a lot of stuff for yucca. Because it's just hard enough and soft enough that it'll grind down and make embers, and then those embers become carbonized, and once they become carbonized, then you go even faster, and with the low humidity, it's 20% now, it just makes it that much easier for all that stuff to start working, and you get that that carbon built up, and then you go faster and create more friction heat. That friction heat transfers into the carbon and makes the ember. And then once you have the ember, then you can put it in there and a bunch of other materials, and we'll go over that in just a second.
Neal, is this twisted yucca stalk, or what am I missing?
It's a variety of species. I mean, I collected from East Texas, all along Highway 90. I saw some on the way here that I was going to stop on Highway 16. But I did.
So twisted yucca stalk, which we got a lot of twisted yucca.
Yeah, they'd make good spindles, but I don't think they'd make good fireboards because they're just too thin. And I've never used the twisted yucca, twist leaf yucca before on that. It just didn't have a good enough stouty stalk to work with.
Buckwheat yucca is pretty hard.
Which one?
Buckwheat yucca constricted.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you use, for the base too, you use that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Soto, you can use the same thing, both for the spindle and for the fireboard. It's just I don't have the luxury of being near enough salto where I can go out and pick and choose what I want to get it. But mostly when I see it, it's really big, and it works great as a fireboard. But I don't often see nice spindly stalks like this. That's why I've saved this one, because this would be a perfect spindle stalk right there. And I can't even remember where I got that.
Neal, have you done the experimenting with the material used for fireboards and spindles, like on the coast?
There. Put those tools over there. This one right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I made a socket there. I'm going to make another socket with the spindle, and instead of doing the hand method like this, which is really hard if you do it time after time, it takes a lot of energy. And if I was just doing one fire, it'd be okay. But if I was doing numbers like I'm doing now, I'm gonna use the assisted hand drill, which I think is easier for people to try. And I've tried this out with kids and adults, and it seems to work real well.
Help if people say, go, Neal, go, Neal.
Cheerleading.
Maybe so?
Cheerleading.
Yeah.
To make them laugh.
Take his mind off the thing.
Go off the stick.
I smell it.
Okay.
Let's get them high.
Well, that's not deep enough.
Don't you usually put some kind of little kindling in there?
People can do that, but I'm doing this without the kindling because I want to show you the ember itself. If I put the kindling in there, it dropped down in it, you never see it, and so you wouldn't get the realization of, oh wow, this is what makes it all happen. It's the ember that's smoking. I might be able to get this one done.
That other method was Shimer, is that how you say it?
Shumla.
How do you spell it?
Schumer.
S-H-U-M-L-A.
Shumla.
Okay, we got a small hole there where it's into it. And let's see what we can get from it.
Point out where that hole is.
Oh, seen the bottom there? Did y'all get to see that?
So it goes all the way through?
Yeah. It goes all the way through so that what's going to happen is all the fire, the dust is going to come out this hole instead of out I'll show you when I do the side notch how it differs from it. Yeah, if I don't do something and you're looking for something, just ask me and I'll see if I can do that now. I need to. And I'm cutting this because I want the sides to be thin and to fit in there. And I don't want any friction to be on the side walls.
So the spindle, actually, the tip of it is actually where you want the heat, not on the sides.
Not on the sides, right, because that makes you work harder. And when you work harder, you get more frustrated and you get blisters. I can attest to that, and so can a lot of other people. But these are just things that I learned the hard way. I didn't, a lot of books don't talk about that kind of stuff. And it's real important that just little things like that, like just trimming off the side, so you get all the work on that. And it just makes it much easier. Okay, that looks like that's going to spin freely. Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And there we go. And then you've got a cat's eye, which I'll pass this around.
Is that a chunk out of the base?
Both of them.
Both, okay.
Both. You're working both pieces together. And we'll put this in here. Now see, that's a nice ember. That's what usually you don't see. And that's the important thing. If you can't get this, you can't get a friction fire going. It's just impossible.
Excuse me, Neal, but in your left hand is what material?
Oh, cedar bark.
Cedar bark.
Yeah, I'll go over that in just a second. First fire tool, and it really works well. Okay, here. Okay. Now this is the side notch, and I'm using this is socket I did with the first group. This is the second group. I can use it over again. Whereas the Shula notch, you can only use one time, and then you got to start a whole new one on that. Let's shave it down a little bit more. And these are all just little techniques that make it easier on me. And you can keep those shavings. When I do this with kids, I want to take the shavings.
See lots of smoke?
got a big, yeah. That's a muncher one there, right there. And that's with a side notch. And I can use this again.
So the coal comes out the bottom and the
It
side
comes
notch-
out. It comes out of the side notch.
Oh, okay.
On this one, the Shumla notch, it comes out of the bottom.
So which one do you prefer?
I don't know. They're both. I mean, I like the Shumla notch because it's unique to Texas, and it's new, and it's something that, you know, like I say, it's part of the heritage, you know, of the Lower Pecos people, and I like that in that sense. But I like the side notch because you can do it easier, and it's a little bit quicker, and you can do more, get more embers out of it.